Okay, now we're in step 3. And the third thing that I do when I am designing for an effective agenda is to plug and play. After I have done the difficult, heart and aligning intentional work of steps 1 and 2, now I'm armed with everything that I need to just plug and play and create the right scenario. Now, facilitating has always come naturally to me. What I love, and I don't know if you've ever experienced this, is when you find the right resource or book or instruction that verbalizes perfectly what you innately know, but without their help, you would not be able to actually speak to what it is you're doing because you just do it. This is why I am highly recommending the Facilitator's Guide to Participatory Decision Making if you are facilitating, strategizing, and leading collective efforts, because they do such a beautiful job of articulating what is the differentiator between your run-of-the-mill staff meeting or workshop and what makes for an effective experience, not just meeting, but experience. So with all of this information, I then set my plate. And I love the way that they illustrate it here, where you think about it in the context of a full agenda. And you think about the steps that you're going to actually take, the many experiences that you're going to have in the context of the entire meeting. So even here you see a complete difference from an agenda that typically outlines that at 9 o'clock we're going to have an opening, and at 10 o'clock so-and-so is going to speak, and so on and so forth. Here is where we're actually putting together what I might consider to be like a dinner plate, where I want to make sure that I have all of my food groups accounted for, and I'm thinking about the proportions of each food group. And so I want my protein on there, my carbs, my vegetables, my fruits, but the amount of fruit ratio that I have to my protein ratio is going to look a little different. And here's what I mean. When I take a look at what it is I'm trying to achieve, I notice that I have 2 advanced thinking and 1 provide input. Advanced thinking is a complicated problem-solving experience. It's going to require some form of just generating ideas, then it's likely going to involve some kind of organizing, and most likely we'll have to make a decision. That's a lot to ask of folks. And if you're not in an all-day experience or a multi-day workshop, that is not something that you want to pack too tightly in the space or the span of like a staff meeting. So anything 2 hours and shorter, there's only room for 1 advanced thinking. And depending on how advanced, it might be the only thing you focus on that meeting, but it's okay because you will have maximized that time. You will have been successful in what you set out to do. So the very next meeting that you have, you can build upon this, and your team feels really good. They leave feeling inspired and successful and ready for the next thing. All of these things are important in effective leadership that brings about cultures of belonging, inclusivity, and collective voice. So if I were going to plan my first meeting, I would likely say that we're going to start, because these are steps in order, with defining basic needs. I can't draft the recruitment plan without knowing what we mean by basic needs services. So I'm going to take basic needs services and I'm going to put it right in the middle. It is my meat and potatoes. Okay, that is the main course for this experience. And then I think that given the fact that in my imaginary scenario, I have 2 hours, I could probably go ahead and try to fit in the provide input meeting goal and map relational spheres of influence, because we don't have to make a decision and we don't have to think too deeply. I just simply want people to let me know what relationships they hold on behalf of the organization that, based upon the work we did in defining basic needs, they think fits in this scenario of a partner we might potentially want to reach out to. So we're really just generating a list and then maybe organizing it a little bit. So what I want to do here is add that as the topic number 3. So I've got my define basic needs and I've got mapping relational sphere of influence. I think we can do that in about 2 hours. What I mean by plug and play, and what makes this last step the easiest and the most fun, is that I'm literally taking everything from step 2 and I'm just putting it in order to see if it fits in the way that I desire. So I see that I have my topic here. I've already identified my activity and my process, and it's clear to me what the meeting goal is. And if it's clear to me, it should be clear to the team, which means you communicate what it is that we're getting ready to do at the top of this session within the entirety of the meeting. Okay, and then I plug and play step number 2 over here, or step number 3 in the case of this agenda, mapping relational spheres of influence, the activity that I chose, and the meeting goal below that. Now, what I enjoy doing as a facilitator is bookending my experience. And what I mean by bookending is I'm very mindful of how we start, and I'm very mindful of how we end. Community building is one of the 7 meeting goals that you can choose from. Typically, people build staff rapport and team morale by creating some sort of optional offline thing, right? Like a cocktail party or a game night or some sort of social outing that people can come to and enjoy each other's company. But what I prefer to do to create opportunities of building true rapport and trust and a working culture that feels good, where people feel like they can bring their whole self, is to sprinkle some community building throughout every single meeting as something that people just expect because it's a part of our routine. So typically I open the meeting with the goal of community building, and I might also seed the subject or the mental work that we're getting ready to do so that things feel very aligned. So this is going to allow me to engage with my staff or with my team and help them center and drop into the moment, leaving whatever they're coming from on the other side of the door by just humanizing our experience. We're getting ready to talk about basic needs in this meeting, and I think that it's important that we all see ourselves as people who often need help and not create the divide of, well, those people and for those scenarios. Here's an opportunity for us to actually show a little empathy. So likely my community building activity is going to be a topic of empathy, and I'll probably use a pair and share or appreciative interviews as the activity or process that helps the team think about a time when they needed help. They and their family were in a difficult time. Where did they reach out for that help? What was most beneficial or most helpful about what they received in return? Where did they go? That type of thing. The way I would book in the experience is with something that I like to call ending in beauty. And actually that was something I inherited in my experience and training with community cafes, the Community Cafe Collaborative. And I have since adapted what I do for ending in beauty. What I like to do when I end in beauty is to give people an opportunity to reflect or to just kind of close up the thought process, right? Like, this is one meeting. It's just 2 hours of everyone's day. Wherever they have to go next is their business and likely going to take them somewhere else. If we take time to get into advanced thinking and we get into a flow state and we're moving and we're generating and we're getting excited and we're getting brain cramps or whatever that experience looks like, I want to make sure to take care of the team so that when they leave feeling good, they leave feeling energized and inspired, and they leave feeling somewhat successful. And the way that I do that is providing moments of reflection that are simple and accessible mentally, because we've already done a lot of work. One of the easiest ways I love to end in beauty is with ahas, insights, and appreciations. It's an opportunity for everyone in the room to go around and, on a positive note, think back to a time when they felt really connected, or pull out just an overall insight that they had in engaging with their teammates that they want to put and seed in the air. Or maybe they want to offer an appreciation. And what this does is it makes us all feel like we belong. It's a beautiful reminder of like, oh yeah, that was good. There's connectivity here. And then also for you as the leader, you get to hear what parts really resonated, what things really worked, so that you can pack that in your arsenal for the next meeting that you're going to be designing for this team. And that's it. That's how you put your effective agenda meeting together. You take all of the topics and or steps, the activities and process and meeting goals from step 2, and you organize them in the way that's going to give you the ideal experience that you are looking for your team.